As you can see, for the past 128 years, we have been representing business.
Speech is conference, but it's a congress of serious business people that mean business, that are results oriented, and that track the goals that we have put through. So it's going to come and brief us on that.
We are quite happy as Zncc to be part of this program.
We're going to deal with the backlog starting from 4th of October. We've started trying to deal with the backlog.
Of course, by virtue of being RBZ, that Z stands for Zimbabwe. It can be RBZ Botswana or RBZ Malawi. It's RBZ Zimbabwe.
So the first thing, I'm not a drinking man myself, but it's always something that I wonder. There's a price, there's an alcohol drink for every pocket, if you think about it. But I often wonder, what would happen if the Reserve Bank was in charge of alcohol and they came up with a Dutch auction for alcohol consumption?
I think we need to sit back and reflect on some of the basic principles to say at a very elementary level, what is it that we are trying to do? First and foremost, I would ask everybody, if they've got time, to just maybe note something called the fallacy of composition. It's in economics that probably explains a lot of the problems that we have. The problems with corruption, the problems with people not paying the power utility and so forth. In a nutshell, it means when we operate as individuals and we take a certain world view, if we all do that which we think is beneficial to us as an individual, and we all do it, at the end of the day, we all lose out. That's the fallacy of composition.
I don't know whether your rapporteurs are going to say we shall get a copy of that piece of legislation from Zambia, and also get the policy document from Zambia. But you cannot claim and ask for the policy document from Zambia when you have not read your own Zimbabwean policy. I'm really troubled. I'm really troubled on the level of seriousness on how business must interrogate government policies and the law.
Opener, as it was my first time attending such a conference. Various issues were raised, and I'm very happy to say that industries actually agreed to work with the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission in fighting corruption, and we are indebted to industry for that.
Your general comment to the last topic of the RBZ exchange auction rate dealings and cartels that you earlier mentioned.
There is need for more engagement between the government and the private sector. Both parties have indeed raised the pertinent points. Both parties have got valid points, and what's required is for them to sit on the
which can provide foreign currency to their account holders via ATMs and so forth. But we've got people driving critical areas of this economy not being able to access foreign currency. Without going back to what I said yesterday, the answer is we must all consolidate that resource, put it all in one pot, allocate it according to national priorities, recognizing that it's not in our interest for everyone to get the forex. In fact, we must make sure that the key motivating factors for us...
You are not customers. All you here sitting here, you're not customers of RBZ. You're customers of banks. We have two clients as a central bank, government and commercial banks. So the backlog with central bank, with commercial banks must be us owing commercial banks, but not us owing businesses. I hope I'm clear on that.
Now, I don't believe, honestly, without trying to bankrupt the banks don't have any business operating different nostro accounts all over. Besides, with the de-risking, some of these people no longer even have those accounts. We should reinforce SI 127. In my own view, we should go to section 302 of the Constitution and include foreign currency consolidation as part of revenue consolidation. And then we argue over who sits to allocate that foreign currency. We can't trust markets that do not work. Because right now, by admission, the bankers agreed that they are doing matchmaking. What is matchmaking? Does it exist in terms of the existing framework? You are basically saying that if you are the one who controls the tobacco money when it comes, you phone one of your customers to say, there's US dollars here.
You then start blaming government. But it's because of the corrupt activities of the private sector that we find ourselves in this situation that we are. So I'm very happy to be speaking to the private sector today. This is the first opportunity that I'm getting to be speaking to the private sector. I think private sector, I can say that you are the major culprits of corruption in Zimbabwe. We only started with government because we realized that if we started with the private sector, there was going to be an outcry to say, why start with us and not government? So we decided deliberately to start fighting corruption within government and then move on to the private sector. Private sector's corruption is the one which is really causing damage to the economy of Zimbabwe. Take, for example, tax evasion. Most companies, most individuals, they are not paying taxes. But when we go to the tax office, you Mpingas are not paying any cent towards tax. And that is corruption. That's tax evasion, which is very serious in Zimbabwe. We do have misstatements at the points of entry. When you import your goods, you misstate the values of those goods. On importation, we have found that you love inflating the figures. Why? Because we have externalized most of the money. That's why you misstate, and then you start saying this machinery cost 20,000 when it only cost 2,000. 80,000 has been externalized. When you export, you then minimize the prices. Why? Because you do not want to pay the duty associated with that exportation. For example, we carried out an investigation into the export of tobacco into Netherlands. According to Zncc, Zimbabwe in 2019 exported tobacco worth 267 United States dollars. We then approached the Netherlands. According to the Netherlands, Zimbabwe exported tobacco worth 37 million United States dollars to the Netherlands. That is corruption from the public sector, from the private sector. So you can see the amount of corruption being perpetrated by the private sector. I'm quite happy because your resolution number 6 of 2020 says that you are now willing to tackle corruption.
Why have you not approached Parliament to enact such a law that transformed IDC into a venture capital fund? Now, in managing disruptive change, walk side by side with your Parliament.